you wanted to get a job as a coal miner, a lot of times that could be the only work you could find and you could make some decent money. But what would happen is the companies that own the coal mining companies also own the stores that are there, right? So you work your butt off all day, you get your paycheck, you go to the store, it's the only place you can buy anything, and it's owned by the coal company, and they just charge you the same kind of prices, right? So it's really unfair, but at the same time, when the demand's high and you can't find another supply, that's how a lot of businesses will make a lot of money, because they can charge you a lot more. So that's what would happen here. Because the mountain men and the Native Americans usually only had like beaver pelts or other like animals, buffalo robes, hides, things like that to trade, okay? And they needed supplies to stay alive. They needed gunpowder to hunt, they needed other food, they didn't want to just eat buffalo meat all the time, things like that, okay? Manuel, you staying up for me? What about you, Jenna? You good? Everyone's good? Everyone's awake? Hey, Manuel, you're gonna have to sit up. Okay? I can't have you sleeping here. That rule is never gonna stop. Alright? So, and like I said, the more interruptions I have to like take phones or remind you to stay up, the less free time we'll have. Because then all these interruptions take away from your free time, alright? Okay, so this guy, really successful businessman. There was another fur company, was called the Pacific Fur Company. This guy, John Jacob Astor, if you've ever heard of a place called Astoria, that's named after him. This is right where Washington and Oregon meet, right where this huge river called the Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean. He made a trading post there. And why he chose that spot was because it's right by the ocean, right? It's right where a major river comes. So they would make all these trades for beaver pelts and things like that around these areas, so forts along these rivers, get it to here, and then boats would come in and trade for those things and he could get other things. So that's just, he chose that spot because it was strategically advantageous for his business. This is just like a little painting of his trading post, what it looked like. Look at that dude. That's a mountain man, okay? Dad, wake up. Can you just hear my little speech? Thank you. Okay, so mountain men. A lot of times people will grow beards just because they want one, but for like mountain men, when you're up there in the cold, they actually would wear that just as more like protection too, to keep warm, with big fur on your face. But this is pretty typical of what they would dress like. So most of them started as fur trappers. They could make a ton of money. Super adventurous guys. It was a really rugged lifestyle because a lot of times you were by yourself or with a few people. And so actually what they would do, has anyone heard the word cache? Like what's a cache? Ash, what's a cache of something? Like if you have a cache of something. A load of something, okay? So what they would do actually, once you had like 200 beaver pelts, you didn't want to just be walking around with those. You didn't want to get robbed or killed by another mountain man or an Indian tribe that wanted to take them. Okay. So what they would do is they'd dig a big hole, bury all their stuff in a cache, cover it up, use some kind of way so they could remind themselves where it was, and then they'd go hunt some more and do that. And then when the rendezvous came where they'd meet all that, they'd dig up their stuff, take it, and go trade for it. But so after a while, all these trappers and mountain men killed pretty much all the beavers. We actually in America almost had beavers go extinct as well, America and Canada. And then also, just how like fashion trends change, all of a sudden beaver hats weren't as popular, so there wasn't as much money to be made. So what happened is these mountain men eventually became guides. So remember when we did the Oregon Trail game and Spanish Trail and all that? So these mountain men knew the area so well that people would pay them to basically guide them through and get to wherever they want, whether that be Oregon, California, Utah, and so on, okay? So this is just another picture here of this huge area that we bought from France in the Louisiana Purchase. If you guys remember from our past lessons, this whole area here was owned by Mexico. This area here was kind of up between England and America in contest. So here's where the American colonies were originally. That Cumberland Gap area was right about here. I'm going to show you a picture real quick.